So before we're going to talk about the project work, which seems to be quite important for you, there are some other topics we maybe should talk about. And yeah, you already know the agenda. Oh, I have to share my screen. So there's some organizational stuff in general. Next week, as you already know, we have lessons on Wednesday instead of Thursday, because Thursday is a bank holiday here in Germany. And instead of 3 lessons, we have 2 from 12:30 or 6:30 to 2 lessons. Because there's another conflict, I think, here on the German side. And I do have a request for you, because the week after, that means usually we should have lessons as well on the 27th, on Thursday. And yeah, I have an appointment that's not changeable. So I would like to switch or move our lessons also to Wednesday, to the 26th, with 2 lessons. Is that possible for you all? Same time, 12:30 Germany and 6:30 in China? Okay. Let me know if it's not possible for you. Okay.
May I ask which time in Wednesday?
Sorry?
Which time in the morning or afternoon?
I don't know why, but the sound is very bad. You can say it again, Jen. Could you repeat what you said before? I couldn't hear it. So I heard you, but in a very bad quality.
And for the streamings, the time. Is
Yeah.
that all the time at 12 o'clock or
12:30. 12:30, yeah. So, and 2 lessons from 12:30, 18:30. And that means 1.5 hour plus for 2 lessons, because the lesson is 45 minutes. And here it would be the same from 12:30 and 6:30 in the evening. Okay. Is there anything organizational from your side? So regarding the content of the lessons today, we will finish the marketing content with
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm afraid we have class on Saturday.
On?
At the same time on Wednesday, sorry.
This Wednesday, the next Wednesday? Or only the 26th? Because I was told from the coordination team that the 20th next week would work, and that you have classes afterwards, so after 2 o'clock. So what we can do also is to, I will set up a doodle request and we find a new appointment. And we're gonna clarify this via Slack and Doodle. Or Lee, are you just trying to find out if it works or not?
I'm afraid you have to talk to the school, because that's not what we can do.
That's what?
I mean about the class. If we have class at the same time,
of course,
that's not okay.
Yeah, so if you have classes at the same time, it wouldn't work. My question was, so I was told by the school that next week it's no problem to move from Thursday to Wednesday, but maybe it is a problem, right?
Yes.
And for the week after, it's the same. So you have, so in China, I think you have time like every evening. And in Germany, you have classes on Wednesdays and Thursdays around noon, or? Lee, would it be possible to send me your schedule, and Chen, the same to you? And then I can try to find slots, possible slots. That would be great. So just send it by email to me, and after our classes, I will check the possible options. Okay, so then let's go a bit further to the project work. Your task for today or for this week was to create a high-level timeline and to design your project plan. In Trello, define roles. What we already did last week is that Lee took over the project coordination role, and he already reached out, I think, after talking to you guys, to ask for more information regarding the topic and so on. I gave you already an answer that I'm pretty sure that it's not needed, because the requirement is not that we're working on a real project. It's more like a simulation project and theoretical concept. Who would like to present the project plan to me? Or the high-level timeline. So I didn't see anything going on in Trello, but maybe you used other tools or you did it on PowerPoint or whatever.
Well, we just discussed about this project yesterday.
Yeah.
And we tried to do. We try to make four different point, which is exactly in your machines. As you told us, which for the example, which steps should be taken to analyze the market, and something like that. We try to make 4 different groups, and but it seems Ray and Leon didn't told us what they want to do. We just do. I and Su Chen choose the last part. And
what do you mean with the last part? Is it
it's your mission in the project 5.
Yeah.
You give us 4 example. So
You mean this one here?
yeah.
Okay, so this is what you did. You created 4 work packages for the concept. Which steps should be taken to analyze the market, which specific market should be considered more closely, and why. If we take a look at the RPA business, how the decision-making process can be organized, and which steps are necessary for successful market entry in general. So these are your work packages, and you try to define to define who will be responsible for which part. That's okay. That's good. So and what else did you do?
Well, the problem is we got 5 guys here, and has only 4 topic, and so I and Susan will do the last part, but we don't know. So others seems not decided what they want to do.
And so no worries here. This is just an example. Yeah. So the mission, you have to develop a concept for entering new markets. And this is an example. So you don't have to answer all the questions. This was what came up to my mind. And maybe you will realize, oh, there's another very important question you should answer.
Okay.
And another important aspect is, I will open the guideline again. If we take a look at the guideline of your report, yeah, you remember you have to create a report. That's your first big work package that you can divide in different tasks. And the structure is that there has to be an abstract and some tables, and then this content A and B and other tables. So as the part B is for the performance measurement and your grading, the part A is very important because there we will find your individual pages. Yeah. And what you were talking about and what you tried to divide in 5 was the main body. That means the concept in itself. This is the mission, project 5. But of course, there are also theoretical fundamentals important. Maybe you're going to do a mixture. So that means, for example, you want to write about which steps are necessary for a successful market entry. Of course, you can create some guidelines and recommendations, and you can, before that, you can gain some information about the theoretical background and fundamentals. But what I would recommend you is first to write about the theoretical fundamentals and to do some literature research for your basic knowledge. So if you have written written a bit more about theoretical fundamentals, it will be much easier to create a concept and to answer these 4 questions and additional questions. Do you understand what I mean? So
yeah, that sounds better than our plan.
So my job is also to give you guidelines and to support you to meet the requirements of the report. Yeah, it's you don't have to. Of course, you have to write it alone, but I will give you guidelines for your structure and project management and coordination, and this is also part of it. So that means you all should, so as you are 5, it's probably not possible to discuss everything with everybody. It's often a bit easier if someone is focusing on one topic and doing a bit of research and then giving kind of a summary to the others and an idea, so then you can work on it further. Yeah. So of course, part B is the last part, and I wouldn't focus on it right now. So your part A is where you have to focus on. That means you all 5 have to talk again. Maybe you have to talk again about your mission, if you're clear about what you want to achieve. And also you have to find a structure of your project report. The questions we were talking about before can help you to give that a structure. And but you, as I already said, you can add other topics. And of course, so description, if you read here, small, description of the consulting approach and solution, description of recommended consulting methods and techniques, discussion of critical reflection of created approach. So here you will design a concept, and this can include these questions. And remember, note here in this part down here, in addition, due to a lack of own resources, the customer would like you to provide operational support for the implementation of the concept. So another question is how, so this is the theoretical concept, and if Business RPA is confident that you are the right partner, then they will order this concept, this consulting project by you, and then you have to set up a project plan. So, and you have to tell them what your roles and tasks in a real project would be. So maybe this can be number 5, yeah, because you were looking for a number 5. Okay, I would recommend that we together will take a look on your project plan, if that's okay for you, and work a bit on it. So last week we did the basic setup, and maybe, as you already discussed, the content a bit further, we will be able to define first work packages and to sign it to some specific persons. Or do you want to do it on your own?
No, that's fine.
I can imagine. Okay, so it's project work. So maybe you can just call in some ideas. So I note that there are only 3 of you already entered the Trello board. So Liang and Zoe, you should also enter this Trello board. The link is already stated in Slack, in the Slack channel. Okay. So project report is literature report. This is basic stuff. So if we take a look at the part A, this is the same as this information written here on the slides. But what's more important is to create now smaller work packages. So, and then you can link them to part A and part B. Maybe I have another idea because I did it myself yesterday. Maybe we can do it like this. project report. Okay, maybe that's easier. And I don't think that we need that. Okay, so if you take a look at the mission and also on the report requirements in general, what are your to-dos? What do you have to do to create that first part, this area, to write an introduction, to write something about theoretical fundamentals, and to create your consulting approach and concept? Any ideas? Oh, sorry. What would be your next step? What will be your next step?
Theoretical fundamental or the
And how so? And maybe we can do it like this.
introduction, theoretical fundamentals, and
What's the next?
Main body.
So there is no right or wrong how to create your project plan. Yeah, it's just an option or a tool to help you to see what do you have to do. Conclusion would be next. So
B.
Part B. So then it's okay.
Part B. Reflection of project progress and resource.
Progress
and resource.
Results. Okay. What else?
Reflection of internal teamwork. Lesson learned.
Okay. Perfect. So now you have these work packages. Sorry, it's not that easy. Okay, the introduction. What do you have to do to be able to write an introduction in your report? What would be a task? So I will set up a checklist. If you want to write this description about your project mission, background, target, the structure of your report, what would be your next step? Or another question, what do you, sorry?
Abstract of these assets.
Abstract or no, what?
Should we write the abstract in this description? Abstract.
Abstract?
Yeah.
But the abstract is more part of the general structure, you know. So this is the general structure, the whole structure of your report. We are now just talking about one part of the structure. Okay, it's not wrong to write an abstract. You have to do that, but not as part of the report, part A. So it's part of the total report in general. So maybe I will create part B and then create abstract. Create tables. So, okay, let's go back to the introduction. So remember the introduction of your part A. There you should describe your project mission and background and the target of your consulting project, which is part of your project work, in your own words. And you also should describe the structure of your project report, so of this report, part A. So maybe you should write down, it's very simple right now, write down project mission and target. And another task would be to define a structure of the project report. Define and write down structure. You see, now you already have two. So you had this bigger work package introduction, right? An introduction. And now you have smaller work packages. So it would be possible, for example, that one person would work on this part of the task and another person would write down this one here. Yeah. The idea of a project plan is always to create smaller packages, yeah, to separate one big task into a lot of smaller tasks, which you can handle and you can work on. So let's do the same for the theoretical, or no, let's do the same for the conclusion because it's easier. So. If you want to write a conclusion, what would you do?
Could the theory we used in this project work?
Again, I'm not quite sure if I got it. You can use what? Okay, thank you. So, concludes the theories we used in the project. Perfect. What else? Ooh, sorry. Or how would you do that to conclude the series? Of course, if you're finished, you would read the entire concept and report, and then you would find out what are the most important aspects, bring them together, and maybe you can also give an outlook. This is very common to give an outlook. Yeah. What should be done next by, if we take a look at the consulting project, what should be done next by the customer in your simulation project, or what should be done next in general from a more academic perspective. So.
Could we forecast the future of the RPA, and we give the solution or conclusion of the future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ideas for, can we say, for the development, future development of RPA business? Is that right?
Yeah.
Ideas for future development of RPA business. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Outlook for. Mm-hmm. Okay. General. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that's fine for now with the conclusion, but you are asked to, or it's appreciated if you work on this. If you have an idea, this should be part of the conclusion, then you should just add an item here with a click and write it down. So you won't forget it in the end, but you don't have to write the conclusion at this very beginning of your project work. Of course, this doesn't make sense, but you can collect your ideas. Okay, then I think now you know what I tried to create here with you. We can take a look at the. I want to finish this part. We can add this theoretical fundamentals. So this is what could be part of your theoretical fundamentals, but this, of course, is very generic because this year is not designed for your specific project. So, what would be on your checklist for these theoretical fundamentals?
And do some do some analyze about this project. For example, the external environment. Analyze the external environment. Use the Porter 5 forces to analyze the industry environment, and then we can use some tools like SWOT and SWOT, something like this to give to realize our company's village or the strengths, and give the strategic about the give the overall strategic human resource strategy and marketing strategy to the future development.
Okay, maybe can you repeat the last part with the HR, the human resource and marketing aspects?
And overall strategy, and like the do they have the new mission or new product or services and service to develop? Actually, I'm not sure.
So if I understood that right, to write a concept and to give some recommendations to a client, of course you have to do these different kinds of analyses, market analysis, industry analysis, and so on. If we
also can find the benchmarking. We learned last lesson. Yeah. We can find this
of course.
And we can find the gap and make the progress.
Identify gaps. Okay, this is of course something you would do operationally in a real project, and if you are writing or creating your project. I'm sorry, I didn't want to do that. And if you want to write your project report and to create a part with theoretical fundamentals, I would expect more some introduction about market entry and market entry strategies in general, and then a description of these kinds of analysis and models. And in the main body, you would then use these kinds of models to create a solution and a concept. Is that clear so far? So create, what is it? Theoretical basics about market entry and tools and models for market entry. So I would assume that these analysis and 5 forces and so on would be part of the description of the tools and models. Yeah, so just on a theoretical basis. And then in the main body, the mission of your project and your concept, you would try to bring this together with all that you know about this RPA company and the market in general. So tools and models, I don't think that it's possible to know. This. 5 forces, what benchmark, etc. So I will add these tools you already mentioned, Ray, in this checklist point. So I can delete them here. But of course you can. Oh, sorry. Is it possible? No, it's not possible. SWOT analysis. What the other 5 forces? Okay, yeah, maybe this helps you to keep in mind that you want to describe especially something about these tools. Anything else you need to do to write down these theoretical fundamentals? Maybe you can also add something about consulting practice in general. We will start to talk about that next week. What's the consulting process about and the approach of consulting in general. Theoretical basics about consulting area of market. Of course, you don't have to write down everything about consulting in general, because then you would write a book. This is not what I'm talking about, but maybe there's something important and interesting about consulting in the area of strategic, in the area of strategic consulting, market entry consulting, because this is a very specific area of the consulting business. And maybe there you find some theoretical basics which are interesting to round up your report. But this is not a requirement I set down, it's just an idea, and you have to define and also decide if you want to work with that. Right? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry.
A lot of areas.
Conclude theories, reuse, and look forward. Yeah. Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a lot to do, but it's easier if you have these small packages. And although, Ray, you wanted to finish this part and you wanted to be responsible for this part, you always have the option to share your tasks and topics and to discuss this with your team. Yeah. Okay. Responsible usually means especially that you are the owner and you have to make sure that the required result will be delivered, but it doesn't always mean that you have to do everything on your own. It's the same for the project coordinator role of Lee. Yeah, so he's responsible to hold you all together and to remind you that there are to-dos that have to be done by you, but he doesn't he's not responsible to do everything on his own. And it's the same for all of you. But what's very important that you all 5 are always clear what has to be done, who is responsible, and what's still open in your backlog. So if you are working on time. Okay, what you can do to make it easier, you can add members here. For example, I will add Ray here. So you will have an eye on this this section, and then as a team you have to decide if you are responsible to write all these theoretical basics, or if you will, for example, divide this into 2 parts. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I see. There's already someone, Liang. That she will be responsible for the introduction. The main body, of course, is the biggest part of your project work. And of course, it cannot be written by one person. So you have to divide this, and therefore you can use, for example, these questions. Yeah. This is something you have to do. Main body. So, okay. And maybe these will help us to do a checklist. Okay, what I recommend is that I just wrote down these 4 ideas because you already talked about that, and I added this project plan, or the idea how you as a consulting team would be able to accompany the implementation, what would be your to-dos. And what I recommend is that you create a new task for each of these checklist topics. That means, for example, this, and then you could be able to attach this one here. So you see there's an attachment, and that this question is attached to the main body. But then it's easier for you to define who's responsible for which questions. So I will do that. If that's fine for you, for your organization, I will do that. Already. will be the owner and responsible that the results will be delivered. Okay, I'm sorry, I think I was off for a moment. So I will repeat the question. What I did, I wrote down these 4 questions or tasks or 5 tasks out of your mission, including the project definition, and created some tasks. And you already, yesterday or today, you talked about who will take over which questions. I remember that Lee was mentioned that he will be responsible for this one. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I will add you. And you can do the same as you already realized. You can add yourself. Is there anyone else who already knows that he or she will take over a specific question?
I'm also do the same as Lee.
Jen, I'm sorry, your connection is very poor. It's very bad. I cannot hear you.
I'm afraid what she says is she just wants to she just wants to join me.
Okay. Then we will add Jen as well here. Perfect. And anything else?
Yesterday, Zoe told us she wants more. She wants the first part.
Which steps should be taken to analyze the market?
Is that right, Zoe?
Okay, I think what is important is that every task here in this area, project report part A, there's at least one person responsible for a task. Okay, perfect. Which steps to analyze the market? Maybe you are missing at the board. So there's the link you will find in the project work, but I will send it to you as well in the chat. So you have to join our project work board. I will do it the easy way right now. And okay, and who will take over these other questions? Which specific market should be considered more closely and why? Maybe Chen and Lee, do you want to take over one other question? Maybe one of these. But you can also decide that you want to skip these questions, yeah? I remember you that they were also only some ideas I made up. So you don't have to work on this. If you think your work is fine, if you answer the other questions, then do it that way. And we can also follow up on this next week. Okay, I think at the moment, we are fine with that. So maybe we can work a bit on your structure right now at the moment, because these are to-dos, project report part A and B, and in the moment you are working on a specific topic, you can just move it over here to work in project. So this means these areas are just boards, your to-dos. So this will help you to see what task you are working on and what is still open. So as I already said before, I would focus, if I were you, I would focus on the part A at the moment, because this is the most difficult part. And then in the last 2 weeks, for example, before you have to submit the project report, you can also focus on part B. But we will talk about that later, and then I will help you to do this reflection as well. So, these are to-dos general. Create part A, create part B, create tables and abstract. This is the structure, and you all have to create presentation, and create handout. And what else do you have to do? I think that's it at the moment. Or is there something missing? I think we don't need that. Okay, we already got the presentation. Oh, sorry, we don't need it. Okay, so now I think it's in a much better shape now, our project plan. So you have the to-dos in general. That means the project report that includes the abstract, part A, part B tables. And maybe it's much easier if we include the creation. No, it's not. Now it's working. Part A, part B. Remove. So checklist, create report template, create. So I will just include all the to-dos here in an easy checklist. So it's much easier for you to handle, create tables. That's it, I think. So we don't need that one. So okay, so you have the project report that includes different sections with the literature research, a report template you have to create based on the information you received regarding academic writing. Then you have to create a part A where your to-dos are written down here. Part B, create an abstract, create tables. I think that's it. And then in the end of our project work, you have to create a presentation in a handout. But I think you will focus first on this part. Okay. At the moment, is it clear for you?
Yeah, it seems perfect.
Okay, so I see plus. Okay. And I'm pretty sure, I know it's still a big project for you, and it's pretty new to work for you in this kind of way, and also only by video conferencing and phone and email and so on. That makes it much more challenging, but I'm pretty sure now it's easier for you to handle because now you know what to do. So what I recommend is that you get together after this session, I don't know if today or tomorrow, and talk about your to-dos and your ideas. And everybody who's responsible for a specific task, let's say, for example, we did it already with the theoretical fundamentals. So first step should always be literature research and create structure. So this is what I recommend to you. For every single task, you should do some research. This is the same here. You can create a checklist and create literature and create structure. So this is the same for every single task, as I said before, and you should do it on your own for your specific task and bring all this information together, because next week, if we find an appointment, a date that fits for all of us, I want to see your first idea of a structure. So what we now did for the project work in general, I want to see what your structure of your project work report will be. So this here is a very generic one, and you have to fill this structure with project-specific information. Okay, so hopefully it's clear for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to write me or contact me by Slack. I can help you out in a very quick way. Okay, great. Happy to hear that everything is clear. Yeah, and if you, as I said, if you have any problems, just let me know, and we can find a solution together, and Yeah, and maybe it's also possible to set up for just one or two of you 15 or 30 minute sessions, yeah, individually. We will find a slot for this as well, if you need some specific help regarding one of your topics. Okay, so that was quite intense for me, probably for you too. I would like to stop now and do a break for 10 minutes. That means we're going to meet at 51 again. And yeah, we will then follow up with your self-study and with the marketing input. So see you
later.
10 minutes. And you